Welcome to this video tutorial, the second installment on the geometric interpretation of parabolas. We are going to be given two of three properties, the vertex, the focal point, the directrix, and from that we are going to determine the equation of our parabola. So let's look at the first one together. We know that the vertex of our parabola is at 2, 7. We know that the directrix, the line, is above it at y equals 9. When we draw in this parabola, it's going to be opening downward as a result. And the focal point is going to be below the vertex. We know that C is the distance between the directrix and the vertex, as well as the distance between the vertex and the focal point. This is opening down, so it's going to look like y is equal to x minus 2, the quantity squared, and that's coming from the center of the vertex at 2, 7. We know we're going to have a plus 7 over on the side, and then the equation, since it's going down, will have a negative, and it's divided by 4 times c. In this case, c is 2. So our final equation for this parabola is going to be y equals negative, the quantity x minus 2 squared, all divided by 8 plus 7. Once we get the hang of these, they're pretty quick. Now let's look at the next problem. The vertex is again at 2, 7, but this time our directrix is a vertical line over at x equals 9. So when working with this, we know that this parabola is going to be opening left. Its focal point is going to be over here. C is the distance between the directrix and the vertex. In this problem it's 7 because 2 plus 7 is 9. So we go another 7 units from the vertex to the focal point, and that tells us our focal point is at negative 5, 7. When writing this equation, it's going to look like x is equal to a negative in terms of y because it's opening to the left. A negative, now be careful here, it's going to be y minus 7, the quantity squared, because the y is centered at 7, divided by 4 times that c value. We saw c was 7. And now since the x-coordinate is centered at 2, we'll have a plus 2 on the side. So this would be x is equal to negative y minus 7, the quantity squared, all over 28 plus 2. Again, once we get the hang of this, it's really not that bad. Let's look at two more problems. Now we're given the focal point and the directrix. So in this problem, our focal point is at negative 1, 5. And I can put an FP there if I want to for focal point. Our directrix is at y equals 2. And the parabola is going to be in between them, and it will focus on the focal point. So we have to figure out the value of c. 5 minus 2 is 3, and we're splitting it in half. So each of these pieces should be 3 halves of a length. So our c is 3 halves. This parabola is vertical opening up, so it's going to look like y is equal to. Now we have to identify the vertex. So the vertex is going to be at negative 1, comma. 2 is 4 halves, so I think that'll be 7 halves. So we're going to look like x plus 1, the quantity squared, all over 4 times c plus 7 halves. So this is y equals the quantity x plus 1 squared, all over, looks like 6 down there, plus 7 halves. So again, once you draw the picture, once you get your bearings, the problem isn't that bad. Now this one we change it up a little bit. So our focal point is still at negative 1, 5, but now our directrix is at x equals 2. That's a vertical line. This parabola has to again draw in around the focal point, and now to determine the value of c here, we're going to have to figure out what's happening. From negative 1 over to 2 is 3, and we're splitting it in half. So again, this should be 3 halves for the c. We need to identify the vertex. 3 halves away from a negative 1 is going to be 1 half. So our vertex should be at 1 half, 5. this will look like x is equal to a negative because it's opening to the left, y minus 5, the quantity squared because y is centered at 5, divided by 4 times c, and then notice the x is starting at negative 1, so we'll have a negative 1 over on the side. So this will be x equals negative the quantity y minus 5 squared all over 6 minus 1. And we have two more problems that we're going to investigate. Now we know both the focal point and the vertex. So when we do this, we're going to draw the vertex. This problem, it's at negative 1, comma 4. The focal point is at negative 3, comma 4. The parabola always draws in to focus around the focal point, so it would look something like that, and our directrix would be over here. This one is not bad to identify c. C is the distance from the focal point to the vertex, which will be 2. Again, it's opening to the left, so this one will be x equals negative. Vertex is at negative 1, 4, so it'll be y minus 4, since the y coordinate that we were centered at was 4, the quantity squared, divided by 4 times c, and then the x value is just our negative 1. So this will be x equals negative the quantity y minus 4 squared all over 8 minus 1. And then our one more problem, we've got a specified focal point and vertex. Notice their x coordinates are the same this time. So our vertex is up at negative 3, comma 6. Our focal point is down at negative 3, comma 4. This parabola would be drawn in going downward. It's got a directrix that would be up a little bit higher, and the distance from the focal point to the vertex is 2. That's our c. So it's going to be y equals a negative because the parabola is opening down, x plus 3 because the x coordinate is centered at 3 being squared all over 4c, and then the vertex has its y coordinate at 6, so we'll put plus 6. This means y equals negative the quantity x plus 3 squared, all divided by 8 plus 6. So really, like we've said, once we get the hang of it, focal point, directrix, vertex are not bad to manipulate and find the equation of a parabola.